Hello everyone, my name is Aparo Devaraseti and my project in Advanced Operating Systems is a large-scale and longitudinal measurement study of DKIM deployment. Let me share my screen. As you can see, and I have told you earlier, my project title is a large-scale and longitudinal measurement study of DKIM deployment. Introduction of DKIM. DKIM is nothing but domain key identified mail. This research paper is mainly based on implementation and administration of domain keys identified mail, an email authentication protocol used to safeguard email content integrity. It is being used by major email providers like Yahoo, Google, and other email providers. And, and mainly due to its scalability limitation, there hasn't been much research done on the security problems and adoption rate of DKIM. Verifying the authenticity of email contents is the main goal of DKIM. This study brought attention to the persuasiveness of DKIM key management and DKIM signature concerns. Despite its effectiveness, the intricacy of DKIM can provide management problems, including incorrect configuration that could allow spoofing attacks. What is DKIM and its importance? It is mainly addresses the email spoofing attacks brought on by SMTP lack of authentication features. And mainly it is an essential link in the email authentication process. And this DKIM is also safeguards email integrity, which is the main subject of this research paper. And the researchers have an exhaustive analysis with a large number of data sets to fill these research gaps. And it also improves the email ecosystem's general security. Research goals and results, measurable outcomes of this research paper. The goal is to maintain and deploy DKIM on large scale and longitudinal measuring investigation. It is also used to active scanning of top 1 million Alexa ranked domains and passive analysis of DNS databases, DKIM, and its records. And also it analyzes the DKIM deployment size and spot any errors and offers suggestions for improvements. And in the analysis, the researchers have found out that 28.1% of the top 1 million domains, according to the Alexa, supports this DKIM, and 29% of enabled domains are misconfigured. That means they are wrong according to this research paper. And moreover, strong signatures and DKIM key management concerns are persuasive and harm well-known email services. This is the research investigation, and researchers has followed the below 3 steps to analyze the existing DKIM deployments. The first step is data collection, second step is data processing, and third step is data analysis. Moving on to the next slide. First step, data collection. The requirement for domain selectors make it difficult to acquire DKIM datasets at scale. And the researchers have used two ways to gather the data. One of them is analyzing passive DNS data sets for its records and removing its signature from email headers. As you can see in the screenshot that is attached, these are the steps researchers has followed in order to collect the data. First step is passive DNS data sets, and second step is historical DKIM records. Parallelly, they have collected email server logs and segregated according to the DKIM signature headers. And the researchers has teamed up with business partners to access the data sets. And mainly they have gathered passive DNS domain name services from QAnexin and 360, and the data ranging from June 2015 to November 2020. And the second data is DKIM signatures from core email from March 2020 to October 2020. And 3.6 million distinct domain names with valid entries are present in the passive DNS data set. And moreover, email server log provides 464 million DKIM signatures from core email. And the first step of the data collection is completed. And now moving on to the further data processing. In this step, the researchers has followed three steps. One of them is data cleaning for passive DNS data. In that step, they have used passive DNS records compiled by the domain names, and they have eliminated invalid DKIM entries. A grammar parser was developed to eliminate the invalid entries. Moreover, 3.6 million different domain names with valid entries are included in the data set. The second step in data processing is email server log record duplication. In this step, the DKIM signatures with duplicated data based on D equal to and S equal to tags. And in this data set, it contains around 2,22,03628 domain names, and in it 2252528 unique DKIM signatures were present. And third step of this data processing is actively scanning the top 1 million domains on Alexa. In this step, they have been active scanning was done using well-liked selectors from passive data sets. And the researchers have used the top 40 selectors to scan the 1 million most popular sites on Alexa. And according to the researchers, they discovered that The key identified mail is activated on 28.1% of the domain names. And as you can see in screenshot attached, there is a flow graph representing all the steps involved in this data processing. As you can see, first from data collection, moving on to the next step, data processing, the data from the data collection is cleaned and the data from email log servers are also segregated according to deduplicated records. And moving on to the further step, they processed for active scanning and scanned according to the Alexa's top 1 million domains, and they can be segregated according to the records and the signatures. And moving on to the final and the third step, data analysis. In this step, researchers have used data from DKIM, Domain Key Identified Mail. The following 4 aspects were examined. First aspect is DKIM adoption rate. The deployment rate among the top 1 million Alexa ranked domains and its adoption rate under various GTLDS and CCTLDS. The second step and the second aspect of this data analysis is grammatical analysis of the data. And in that grammatical analysis, they divided invalid records into 5 categories of errors. And the third aspect in data analysis is management concerns with its keys. That means the key sharing lifetime and length were examined. We can discuss about this key sharing lifetime and length in the coming slides. Moreover, the fourth aspect of data analysis is security issues of its signatures. The researchers have examined security concerns with regards to the expired tags and email headers. And moreover, the researchers have found the use of the SHA-1 hashing method and also examined its usage. And as you can see on the left side of the PPT, you can able to see the flow chart of the data analysis. The data that is processed from data processing and the data coming from the data processing is first goes to the DKIM key management analysis, and after that it is segregated into the adoption rate, grammatical analysis, and signature issues. Moving on to the further slides. Moving on to the further slides. The regular email services and DKIM deployment among popular email providers and Alexa's top 1 million domains. In this, the regular email services, 24 reputed email providers were investigated for the adoption of the key identified mails. From the perspectives of the data has been segregated from the perspectives of the senders and the recipients. Each of the 24 providers does the verification on behalf of the receiver. 6 providers on the senders have not yet used DKIM according to the data. The second step is adoption of DKIM. The implementation rate among the top 1 million domains on Alexa was evaluated. When used in conjunction with SPF and DMARC, DKIM was successfully blocked email spoofing attacks or attempts. As you know, 28.1% of the top 1 million Alexa domains were used the key identified modules. For the domains having MX records security measures like SPF 69.8% and DKIM 37% and DMARC 15.1% are used more frequently. That means the records which are present or the data which is gathered on Alexa's top 1 million domains in it. The SPF protocols are used for around 69.8. The DKIM used in that data is 37 and DMARC is 15.1%. And third step is adoption estimates for the range of TLDs. TLDs is nothing but top level domains. According to a study of acceptance rates for generic top level domains and country code top level domains, the majority of domains implementing its services are those with a.com and extension.inu.edu, like education domains. The deployment of DKIM is shown to be the most common, that is 71%. A higher percent than usual, like 38.6 and 41.4, respectively, of .com and .org, that like certain organization domains have enabled its services. The key identified modules has the greatest level of support, around 34.8% in the Russia cctdl.ru. .ru is nothing but it is used, the domains are used in Russia. With acceptance rates of for DKIM in other TDLs is fluctuating. Moving on to the other slides. As we have said earlier, the deployment and adoption rates of key identified mails are discussed in these slides. To determine the acceptance of identified mails, researchers have examined the deployment across well-known email providers, and they have used the top 1 million domains. For 24 well-known email providers, they assessed the deployment on sender and recipient side. Each and every tested email service performed the verification on the recipient's end. 6 email providers didn't use its services on the sender side, and around 28.1% of top 1 million domains have adopted its services. And SPF is supported by 748,993 of a million domains have MX records. 1 million domains with MX records in total, 280,786 of which has enabled its services, and 118,468 of a million domains with MX records have demarc in this place. Moving on to the other slides, grammatical analysis of key identified mails. The records for domains in Alexa's top 1 million were examined grammatically by researchers. Around 8.14 domains, like 2.9%, have had errors discovered in their entries. The errors, like the type of errors in around the 29% or 8.14 domains are 3,292 domains in the abnormal P field. P field 619 domains are missing and empty. 2,553 domains with public key mistakes, and in which 1,967 domains with invalid tags, and 2,522 domains worth of its records for a single selector, and 550 domains do not support RSA SHA-256. Altogether, in total, 8,147 domains, in which some of them will have a public key mistakes and invalid tags, and some of the domains will have RSA SHA-256 or do not support RSA SHA-256, and some of them do not have any like P field or missing or empty or abnormal P field. Altogether, the researchers have analyzed 2.9% of the data as errors. Moving on to the next slide, came to management issues of its keys. And in this management issues, mainly three things have been discussed. One of them is lifetime of the keys, sharing of the keys, and length of the keys. Long-lived keys, around 8.6% domains have keys older than 5 years. Keys with a lengthy lifetime used by the prominent domains, 10 of the top 20 domains according to Alexa. That means top 20, in that top 20 domains of the Alexa, 10 were the prominent domains with a lengthy lifetime and key rotation based on a regular basis for the security. This is the section for the lifetime of the keys. And coming on to the next section, sharing of the keys. Key sharing between domains are governed by multinational companies, that means Google, Yahoo, and other email service providers like Hotmail and etc. Email service providers share keys for ease. That means we can able to access or multiple accounts or create multiple accounts with the same domain name or different according to this email service providers. And the risks of using shared keys and related security problems. Coming on to the next section, length of its keys. And around 84% of domains employing the keys are under 1024 bits have weaker keys. That means the data, like around 1 million data, in that 84% of domains has weaker keys under 1024 bits. And moreover, the significance of employing 2048 2048 bit keys, and the domains should have to follow NIST guidelines. And the management issue number 3 is updated key lengths are required for the greater security. That means we need to update the keys so that we cannot go into the security issues of sharing or data leaks. Moving on to the next slide. As I said earlier, DKIM key management or key lifetime in passive DNS data set is, as you can see, the data is around 1 million domains in which the key lifetime is greater than or 1 has 21.9%, greater than 2 is 18%, greater than 3 is 14.1%, and as you can see, greater than 5 is 8.6%. That means the longer life keys is subset of those with the short one. For example, the lifetime is greater than 2 is a subset of the lifetime of greater than 1. That means the lifetime of the key is gradually decreasing according to the data. And in the other half of the PPT, you can see the lifetime of 2 key selectors used by the Google. As you can see, the data is fluctuated according to the time period, and you can see that red one, which is in 2012, has become the request time becomes 0, and whereas the 2016 data, although it started with the same time or 0 request, but it gradually increased. As you can see, there is an intersection between the graphs. That means at that time, they usually as at the same point, but 2016 data is been updated, and the latest one has the more requests, so the data has been increased, while the 2012 data DNS request times have decreased because of its low security reasons. Moving on to the next slide. As I said earlier, the security issues of the key signatures. The researchers have used 3 procedures for the security issues. That means they have given 3 reasons for the security issues. One of them is detailed examination of vital means important email headers. That means examining the key headers like date, to, CC, subject, from, subject, and content type. And around 94.2% of domains have weak signatures because their header signatures were absent. That means the data doesn't have any headers. Spoofing emails without proper signature and the dangers of replay attack. That means the emails which are used for the attacks doesn't have any signature, proper signature. That means they use the email with .org, but they have used something different according to the name. For example, .edu, like Western Illinois .edu. They have sent mail regarding to something like there is a fire in the university or something like that, according to the mail, but they have a twisted email address or a domain. For example, Western Airlines, or they have used, or they have silenced, or they have used WEE instead of WES. That can able to manipulate the person who is used or who have received the mail. That leads to spoofing emails, and it can lead to the cyber attacks too. And the second step that used by the researchers are using the outdated tags. The tag's goal is to, the one equals to tag goal is to shorten email body structure. 0.3% of domains continues to use the unsafe equal to tags. And because of that, it leads to the email spoofing and misleading content display. L equal to is length equal to. And the third step of the security issues is the use of the SHA-1, an obsolete hash algorithm. That means an outdated hash algorithm. The SHA-1 is widely used. 65.9% of the domains utilize the SHA-1. The risk associated with the SHA-1 collision attacks are out of the date, like the old security standards, and they cannot withstand with the attacks, latest attacks, and they need to switch to more secure hash algorithms in order to defend themselves and in order to reduce the security issues of its signatures. And moving on to the next slide, the limitations. Geographical location of the associated DNS resolvers and email services causes bias in its records and signatures. That means by adding a location of your data sent, that means whenever you send an email address with your data location, or that can lead to the data leak, because if it's used a SHA-1, in the previous slide you can see, if it's used a lesser length, L equal to tag or SHA-1, or if there is any risk of spoofing emails, you cannot able to resolve that by sharing your location. And large scale and prolonged passive DNS data collecting yield representative result from a variety of domains. The addition of the core mail of key identified mail signature data set to the passive domain name service data raises the coverage for the top 1 million Alexa domains to 10.2%. To resolve the dataset limitation, active scanning was done. In order to raise the coverage, we have used the core mail signature to surpass the passive DNS and cover up to the 1 million Alexa domains. And because of the limitation, we have used active scanning for it. Moving on to the next slide, mitigation. Disclosure. All the vulnerabilities were responsibly reported to the relevant email administrator. Due to the vast number of impacted domains and the difficulty of contacting all administration, the researchers have prioritized trusted vendors like Gmail and Centigrade. Researchers have acquired email addresses from WAS API and contacted additional impacted websites with full vulnerability notifications, and popular email providers like Gmail, MailChimp, SendGrid, Salesforce, and other administrative has all offered complimentary comments tools for online detection. In this paper, the researchers have used certain tools for the online detection. Inconsistencies in administrative knowledge and a lack of unified implementation record recommendations are contributing factors in its domain deployment issue. Researchers developed an online solution to this remedy, that is nospoofing.cn, based on your measurements and analysis procedures. This application helps email administrators distribute and verify its data by offering security analysis and deployment device or advice. That means the application they have developed is used to help email administrator to verify the key identified mail data by offering security analysis and deployment advice. That means they can able to segregate the data and follow all the steps which we have discussed earlier, like data collection, data processing, and data analysis. And they can able to segregate the data and produce the possibilities of vulnerabilities in the company's data or the data which the visitor has uploaded. Moving on to the next slide, recommendations. The researchers have recommended two procedures. One of them is expiration date for the key. Put forward the idea of including a key expiration date in records. That means if the data has an expiration date, we can able to prolong the usage of the mail, identified mail, or we can able to reduce the sensitive data in the record. And it also encourages the routine key replacement and deal with the murky transitional periods and make sure the key updates go smoothly. The expiration date feature in the mails can be used for the confirmation by both senders and recipients. The libraries and significant email services have been tested for backward compatibility. That means they have used certain libraries and significant mail services to and fro to make sure everything in the library is validated and verified. The second recommendation given by the researchers in this paper is default over signing mechanism. Consider altering the way that common key identified mails libraries are implemented so that over signing is used by default to sign its signature. It aids in safeguarding crucial email headers and guards against multiple header email spoofing attacks. Simple change that is backwards compatible and for the signers also. And it also enhances its signature ability to protect against the attacks using a replay by a significant margin. That means default security is helpful to safeguard the emails from the spoofing attacks. That means if a certain spoofing attack remedy or the defense mechanism is implemented in the default securities. So if that spoofing or the attack happens, it can able to protect its content or the data, sensitive data which is present in the records, and it can protect it from that attack efficiently and defaultly. Moving on to the next slide, the conclusion. The researchers presented the deployment and any concern it might have, that means like management issues and security issues. Although 28.1% of the data domains have DKIM enabled, poor administration is still a problem because most of the data doesn't have the DKIM enabled, or even if it is enabled, it might be in a risk for a security attack or management issue. And the data in this slides also suggested the same. And because of the administrative issue, it can lead to, or it can reduces the DKIM security. And also the researchers have alerted email administrators to risk and gave them access to an online tool for the DKIM deployment analysis. The objective of this endeavor is to enhance the deployment and motivate the community to work towards securing the deployment. That means we need more security or more awareness or more administrator in the deployments and in the email security. The data is also suggests that the longer lifetime of the domains and the longer usage and the repeated updating of the security, that can lead to the better containment of the data and better usage of the email headers, or that can be useful for transferring the security data among the senders and the receivers. Moving on to the next slide, the researchers have provided the future work like email security protocols like SPF and DMARC are planned to be included in the analysis scope, and also examine the deployment security in particular business sector. In this research paper, the researchers have used the data from Google, Yahoo, and other email services like Salesforce, but they didn't use the data from particular business sectors like Wipro, TCS, or Facebook, or in like other business sectors. And to improve the email security, they need to go for other options too. Instead of reaching out to the DKIM's deployment and the security, they need to verify other possibilities or other reasons or other attacks of the emails. Moving on to the next slide, acknowledgements. And the researchers have thanks to Chenroy Lee, Juan Lee, and Shaw Lee for their peer reviewing and assistance. Gratitude for the support from QI 360 and Core Mail in data collection. funding support from National Natural Sciences Foundation of China and the Shui Mui Chizhuang Scholarship Program. Thank you.